Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Survivor Second Chances episode 5 pre-party. It's not a recap because we're the hour before episode 5 airs, so we're kind of doing our pre-party. We're so excited to have a special guest on this pre-party show, and it's the one and only Dale Wentworth, Kelly's father. Hey, Dale, how are you?
I'm very good, John. It's nice to be here, and I'll reintroduce myself. Yes, I'm Kelly's dad. I'm not on the show, so I'm just Kelly's dad this time around.
Just Kelly's dad. Well, you guys left quite an impression on your Blood versus Water season of Survivor. Let's kind of jump into that for a little bit, and then we'll jump into this season and get your thoughts on some of the tribes and some of the strategies going on. So you did Blood versus Water,
Yes.
Season 29. Now, I understand that you did not apply for Survivor. How did CBS find you and Kelly?
Well, Kelly was an Amazing Race fan to start with. So in 2009, we applied for the Amazing Race, and we was really close. Was in phone conversations with Lynn, but Mallory and her dad was pretty close to the older dad and the blonde daughter, and we reminded him too much of them. So we was about a week from flying down to be interviewed, and it didn't happen. So we just forgot about it. And a year ago, about a year and a half ago in March, on my birthday of all things, I got an email from CBS. Said, Team Wentworth, you tried out for Amazing Race. Would you like to be on Survivor? And 10 days later was in California, and a month and a half later was in Nicaragua.
Now, that's how it went. Was that a hard decision? Because it's kind of a completely different show. Starving on an island or on land or peninsula versus just traveling around the world. I mean, did you and Kelly have to sit there and go, can we do this?
Well, was Survivor fans before was Amazing Race fans. I mean, Kelly watched the first season, then she got me hooked on season 2. And then since I went back, I've watched all the seasons. So we just never thought about applying for it, which is, we never thought we'd get on. And when I talked to her the next morning, because I'd left my cell phone at home, so Kelly couldn't get a hold of me when I got the notification. It was my birthday. I got the email on my birthday of all things. And I talked to Kelly. I go, do you want to do it? She goes, I don't know. Do you want to do it? I don't know. Do you want? And we just went back and forth, and finally goes, well, okay, let's do it. And it was just like, who is going to be the bravest person to say yes first? So, and
who
Monday morning, we was filling out paperwork.
Wow. I mean, I love Amazing Race too. It's nominated. It's won Emmys. It's so fun. You see everybody kind of bickering back and forth, but then Survivor has you where you kind of get the bickering and the alliance or the team and this and that with the challenges. But then you're starving, you're dirty, you've got bugs crawling all over you.
There's so many different dimensions on Survivor that Amazing Race doesn't bring into it, and Survivor was the first one. It's going on 30 seasons now. It's one of the more longer running, most popular. It's amazing. No play on words.
Yeah. Well, as you can see from my outfit, this is Survivor as I get. I'm more like a Troop Beverly Hills kind of person. So, but I commend you on that. Now, what's really great about you and everybody, I mean, it seems to be a really big trend is, farms, sustainable food. You're a farmer here in Washington. You've supported your family, correct, with farming. And what did you think? Oh, this is going to kind of be a piece of cake. I'm used to hard work. I'm used to physical work. Were you shocked that it wasn't, or was it?
I knew it was hard, but I didn't know how hard. And that's why I have the ultimate respect for anybody who's played the game, especially somebody who's lasted 39 days, because I've done farming. I do endurance bicycle rides. I run 100-mile mountain bike races where I'm out there 10 or 12 hours riding my bike. I've done that sort of stuff. And about day 3 of Survivor, you open your eyes and you go, holy crap, this is going to kick my butt in ways you haven't thought of yet. Because the TV show does not do justice with how hard it really is. And you see people, and it's deceiving on the show because we watch them over 15 weeks losing weight. And you really don't notice it till the reality or the final show where they show people on day 39. Then they show them in live, and you go, "Oh my God, that person's fat."
Oh my God, right?
No, they're not fat. They just gained back all the weight that's lost.
They're not malnutritioned anymore, right? It's not even that they're fat. They have a healthy amount of weight on again.
You know, we watch it every Wednesday night, and on real time that's 48 hours. But on TV time, it's 7 days. So you just gradually see them transition to these walking skeletons. Then all of a sudden, they go from day 39, and you see them live on the show, and you go, "Holy cow! They got makeup, they got clean clothes, their beards are gone, and that's not the same person." So that's when you realize how hard the show is.
That's the only incentive I see is the losing weight part about doing Survivor. Well, and of course, winning the $1 million.
Yeah, I lost 31 pounds in 15 days, and I gained 20 in 6.
Wow.
That's how quick it comes back, and it's not the same weight you lost.
Oh, my. It's in different spots.
Well, it's just at my age, I lose more muscle.
True.
And then you go to Ponderosa and you have an open bar and all the food you can eat, so it's usually fat and alcohol. So.
Oh,
you're going big.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. So, the next thing what was really shocking too about your season is Kelly was voted off 5th. And then you were voted right behind her and voted off 6 off your tribe. When you found out, we're going back a little bit, when you found out Kelly had been voted off, can you kind of bring us back to that moment a little bit? Because you weren't very happy.
Well, 2 things that happened in back-to-back weeks on our season. Kelly won when she did the sumo challenge and beat Jacqueline. That was her birthday. That was her physical birthday on the show. That day specifically was her birthday. A week later was Father's Day, and that was the night that she got voted off. So she got voted off on Father's Day. So I got to give her a hug goodbye, but at the same time, you're going, okay, Kelly's gone. I got to put that away because now I got to stay in the game. So they didn't show it, but John Mish came up to me. It was about 1:30 in the middle of the night after we got back from tribal and that sort of stuff. And he came up and apologized. He goes, "Dale, I'd like to apologize for voting out Kelly." And I got in his face. I go, "Go to blank in hell, John." I go, "Don't apologize for a purpose. I mean, you can't apologize for writing a vote down. If you bump into me with your grocery cart, that's an accident." And I was really pissed off. I go, "Just stay the hell away from me." And which wasn't a good thing to do, but that's, I just watched my daughter get stabbed in the back. Mm-hmm. And even everybody said that for about 8 or 9 hours, I was just kind of sitting in a sulk. And then it was like, when the sun came up, it was like, okay, time to get back in the game. Because I didn't sleep after Kelly got voted off, I didn't sleep for 2 nights. Because you're just trying to think, because I knew I was next.
Oh, yeah.
And because I was a lone person. They knew that made me mad. So why do you want to keep a person around that you've just pissed off? Because we knew the merge was coming, and I would have jumped ship to the other side, and they would have been fighting me all over again. So as soon as Kelly and I did the merge, we sat down within 10 minutes and we counted friends and enemies, and we knew that if we didn't win a challenge, we were going to be going off fifth and sixth. It just depended who is 5th and who is 6th.
Oh, absolutely. And did you have a little bit, it seemed like you had a little bit of trouble with the social aspect when you first got on your tribe. You didn't find yourself having really a lot in common with people. I think almost everybody was even from the opposite coast that we're on, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, they would sit there and then talk about a White Castle burger, and I go, "What the hell's White Castle? I don't even know." Yeah, they were.
We have dicks, right? We have dicks.
Yeah, and I have to drive to Seattle, Spokane, find a Dick's burger joint. So yeah, the youngest person next to me was John Rocker, and he's 15 years younger than I. Then after that, it was 25 to 30 years younger than me. And they were all from New York, Boston, Florida. The closest to me would have been Baylor, and she grew up in Texas. Now she's in Nashville, so she's still East Coast. So yeah, there was 3,000 miles difference between us geographically as well as socially. And it's tough to bridge that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into a little bit more about Kelly has got her second chance. How is it with your family? Were you guys just beyond thrilled that Kelly was getting back on the show?
Yeah, I mean, it was play Survivor once is amazing. And then to get voted back on within a year's time is just, I mean, you can go through, there's very few people that have made that. And especially being how Survivor is more of an East Coast show than a West Coast show. You know, you look at predominantly, most of them are from the East Coast, the New York, Boston, and that sort of stuff. There's, other than Worlds Apart, which was almost all West Coast. I mean, there's like 8 or 9 people from the West Coast. So for Kelly from the Pacific Northwest to basically market herself back into against some pretty stiff competition and get on the show, it was just, I mean, I couldn't ask, other than being on the show, the next best thing was her being on the show, getting asked back on.
Would you do the show again?
I would do the show again if I was asked. If the phone would ring, I'd be packed tomorrow.
Wow. That's great. I know. And just to talk a little bit about how you were just talking about how time kind of is a lot longer on the show than what we see on it. I forgot what Castaway it was. And it was a super fan or fans versus favorites type of season. And the one woman, when it was raining, was crying, saying, on TV, you guys only see the rain for maybe a minute or two, but here it's been raining constantly for 5 days. And it was just shocking.
Well, and yeah, and it is one of those things because the time delay, yeah, you don't see how much they put into the show because they're trying to put basically 48 hours into 43 minutes of TV.
Oh, yeah.
So that's very tough. And in Nicaragua, what I wasn't prepared for, I'm used to in Washington State, in June, we have, 7 hours of daylight or darkness because June is the longest time of the year. Well, we went to the equator and it's 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of dark. So I would get ready to go to bed and I go, okay, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Well, then you realize that the nights are 12 hours long. So you're going to bed at 7 o'clock at night, getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the nights just go on forever because you can't sleep that long. So you're sitting there so many hours just twiddling your thumbs in the dark with nothing to do. And because you can't walk around because it's so dark. And that throws you off as well as everything else.
Now, too, and also what I think might throw me off, but I mean, we've interviewed Big Brother reality stars, Amazing Race, of course, Survivor. The biggest thing that throws me off is the cameras. I mean, I look at Survivor's Instagram page. They've got the behind the scenes where the cameras and the lighting's right here. And, they're taping those intimate conversations that you're having with your alliance member. Do you forget quickly that those cameras are there? I mean, or is it constantly on your mind, I need to perform?
No, you forget about the cameras for me, it was within about the first day. You treat them like furniture. They don't show up, but there's a lot of times you'll walk into the guy because you know he's there. It's really strange when you're trying to sleep at night and you open up your eyes and there's a camera lens about that far from your face filming you while you're sleeping. And he's just hovering over you like this with the camera, just going, filming, and you open it up and you just go, okay. And you get to them. And I'm surprised they're showing the behind the scenes as much as what they are because they show the cameras all hanging out close and how many cameramen there actually are with the tribes, which I haven't ever seen those pictures before.
What do you think of the men's underwear choices this season of Survivor?
Well, that's I might not be able to talk about underwear choices, but there's some of them that's been pretty outlandish. I'll put it that way.
Vitus had an unusual pair, and now I'm seeing that advertised everywhere. The company that does that underwear. I think it was just Jeff Varner who had the purple and blue, and I'm just thinking to myself, what? It's almost distracting because I'm like, what is going on with the underwear choices this season? You know you're going to be on the show, right? When you come all dressed up and,
yeah, and that's the underwear choices are underwear choices. That's one thing everybody asks me is, why do you see so many people get an underwear so quick? Well, you only have one set of clothes that's lasts you 39 days.
It's
so
hot.
The first thing you do is get rid of all your clothes to save them as long as you can. Because otherwise, 39 days in one set of clothes you'll be walking around naked and survivors don't care. They'll just blur it out. So you try and save your clothes as much as you can.
True. I mean, you kind of want to, get dressed up for those tribal council meetings, right? A little resemblance of.
You want to get dressed up for that because if you leave your clothes at camp and you get voted out, everybody else is going to steal your clothes.
True.
Because anything you leave behind becomes part of your tribe's clothes.
Oh my goodness! It's finders keepers, losers weepers.
Yeah, John Rocker got voted out, and we used some of his. This is one of the things I don't think it made. Was using some of his shoes when Val got voted out. She left her bra, and somebody used them for shoulder pads, and somebody had them over there. Some of the outtakes would have been hilarious. That's what we were using for.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
I don't know if I should have said that.
That's hilarious. Only here at your reality recaps do you get some of the insider tips. And gossip. We've got Jill Bling on social media saying, do you think people underestimated you on your season of Survivor? Think you were underestimated?
Well, you can look at being voted out first is usually a compliment. Yeah. There's two ways. Either you're a complete and total idiot and they don't want you around and they vote you out, which I could fall in that category, or they see you as a threat and get you voted out. Drew was going after Kelly because he considered her a threat. Mm-hmm. So they might have looked at us. And when you look at the rest of the castaways that we happen to be thrown in the pool with, there wasn't a lot of Survivor fans and followers of Survivor on our season. The only ones who went very far was Jeremy, I think he might, and Reed. Those were the only two that made it on and Josh. Those were the only three that made it on the jury that were dedicated Survivor fans. Some of them hadn't even seen the show, like Keith. Yeah. Wes had seen some. Alec hadn't. Missy and Baylor hadn't. Jacqueline and John were both previous Amazing Race contestants that they got recruited over to Survivor as well. So anytime, and that might have been Kelly and I's mistake, letting everybody know that we've watched every season. Well, your threats are gone.
We're super fans. We're super fans.
Yeah, well, here's a vote for that.
I was going to say, I mean, is that something you probably maybe should keep under your hat? Or, do you think, does it make a difference having watched all the seasons or most of them in your case before when you were on the show than people who are just cast as, normal Joes from the street?
Well, it's really tough to talk strategy with a bunch of idiots.
Well, I have that in my daily life, Dale.
I don't mean to throw it. I don't mean preaching to the choir is what you're saying.
I get it.
So it was tough to talk to some of the castaways because we was trying to talk a strategy, and you just see that 1,000-yard stare in their eyes that what we're trying to do is not working. So in that regard, yes, it was very frustrating.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on this season of Survivor. Kelly, the first one to get an idol. So happy for her. Also, too, just a side note, she's on Periscope, and she's got some pretty funny Periscopes. So you guys need to check her out on Periscopes. I love her when she's in her Uber going to like dinner or something to downtown Seattle. It's hilarious. And we know.
Camera.
Yes, and she plays it safe because she takes an Uber. So Kelly finds the first clue. We find out the clue is actually in part of the challenge. What do you think of that twist this year?
Well, there was one. if you remember that San Juan del Sur, where I took the idol or the trinket off the water, the drinking fountain.
Yes.
And there is somebody there's a rumor says BNI tried plain sight, that they were trying to make idols into plain sight. Either I'll never get the credit for it. So, but
you get it here, Dale. You get it here.
Yeah, I think it's great. It adds another element to the game because it's something, and it's not the first time. They put them in rice buckets before, hidden them in rice, hidden them in rewards where you have to dig them out and sneak them. So, and this season is trying to incorporate something from the previous 30 seasons in each episode. So I think it's great because you don't have to fool your tribe. You have to fool both tribes in plain daylight.
Well, just to see her, right? Having to kind of lean down a little bit, kind of backwards.
That was painful.
My heart was racing. I was like, oh my gosh. And how is she going to do it? Oh my gosh, she did it. It was crazy. Now, Kelly has not told anybody that she's got an idol. Do you think this is kind of a good strategy that she's doing? Do you want to tell people you have the idol, or at least your alliance members?
No, telling anybody you have an idol has very worked out, because two things. They're going to try and flesh it out because it's a hidden idol that's going to advance them farther in the game. So somebody's got an advantage over you. And every time somebody's went up and told somebody about an idol, usually it happened on San Juan del Sur. Val tried to tell everybody she had an idol, got voted out. Rocker found an idol, went and told everybody. They voted him out. So that is a secret weapon to stab somebody in the back. So this year, you got to give props to Jeremy and Kelly. They both got an idol, and so far nobody's told anybody about, or neither one told anybody about it. The merge is coming up within, depends on the numbers, it's coming up fairly quick. So they could both, if they don't have to play it soon, if they don't feel threatened, they could both be walking into a merge with an idol, which is just a massive advantage once you get to the individual game.
Yeah, especially her and Jeremy, right? Because now Jeremy has got an idol as well. And once they get to the merge, not telling anyone actually makes sense. That would be a huge advantage.
If you can hold it, because all of a sudden that idol gets so much more powerful after the merge. If you can delay till the merge, if you make it that far, the idol is a lot more powerful.
Now, I felt a little bad about Vitus being one of the first ones voted out because he was on your season, correct?
No. He was on
Blood versus Water.
He was a previous Blood versus Water. He was Blood versus Water with his brother.
That's right, because there was 2 seasons of that. I'm sorry, I'm getting so confused with all my Survivor. There's 31 seasons. I'm 45, so whatever. Yeah. So I felt kind of bad because I felt like he kind of had maybe a little kind of stigma on him, and he was voted out. Wasn't really given a chance on that. Kelly is doing great with her tribe. She's got a great tribe. Eating well. What do you think of her tribal members? What do you think of Joe, Keith, Chaos Cass is behaving this season?
She's got Terry Dietz. She's got Joe. Terry Dietz is a survivor beast. Joe's a survivor beast.
He built the whole camp.
Yeah, Mr. Cabana Boy. Tribe life, I guess you could call it.
Exactly. I like Cabana Boy.
They didn't show up, but they did an outtake. It was a 6 or 7 minute YouTube clip where Keith is sitting there and he goes, "That boy's going to make somebody a good wife someday," which is just hilarious talking about Joe. But she's got a very strong tribe that can win some challenges and that sort of stuff. If they can keep on a roll, Keith has been shown in the individuals. Terry's 7 out of 8 on his previous season. Joe, so yeah, she got lucky on that tribe swap to be mixed with some of the people she got tied up with.
So lucky, and then to be divided again, and then now there's 3 tribes, and to still be on a great tribe, and not having to starve and build everything from new like Angor had to, which is just being demolished. Jeff voted out last week. Abi-Maria surviving on Survivor.
How Savage and Tasha got in the minority or got in the majority is just number one. It shows me that in the previous Brains when Joe won with Wu and Spencer, the Brains, Brawn, and Beauty Tribe show. Wu got pulled along quite a bit by Tony because Wu isn't playing near the game this time that he was when Tony was there. So either he just changed his strategy or something, or Tony was a heck of a lot better player than everybody gave him credit for. He was a great player, but Wu's playing a different game. To give up a 4-2 voting advantage,
yeah,
and it just doesn't make sense. Of course, Abby's in there, and that's the Abby effect. She can detonate any tribe in a heartbeat. So
demolish any tribe. But what shocked me, and I have to give Abby some props when props are due, and they're, doesn't seem to be due very often with her, is, when she voted against Jeff and getting Jeff voted out, she kind of talked about what was better for the tribe, and she went with the tribe, and I was shocked. Were you shocked about that?
Once I saw the Abby effect, it doesn't shock me more than what happens.
It's got to be a new hashtag.
But I'm surprised that Wu and everybody let it get away from them. They could have at least split the vote. Let Abby go and join with Tasha and Savage and have a 3-3 vote. But everybody just caved and followed Abby on her vote. And it was just about they didn't show all the votes. It was like a 4-2 or maybe even 5-1 vote to get Jeff out. And that shocked me because Jeff hadn't done that much to, usually at that point you get the person who's the most annoying out. And Abby is being more the pot that stirs the kettle than anybody else.
Do you think it's smart that they're kind of using her as a shield to get to the next merge and then get rid of her?
Anything that gets you farther into the game is a good move.
Outwit, outlast.
It does. Yeah, that's exactly right. Outwit, outlast, outplay, outlie, outsteal, anything you can do.
Out-annoy.
Yeah, that's right. Anything you can do to get 48 hours farther in the game is a good play. We may not like it, but I'm not on Cambodia with a tribe. So, being how I was there once, I'm going, she lasted 2 more days, I'll shake her hand. Because that's the only thing you're trying to do.
Oh, absolutely. We've got Bruce Lynch in our chat room, wants to know, do they give you food if you get sick or you're super malnourished? Do they just say, oh my gosh, here?
They won't give you squat. They'll save a limb or save a life, but if you want medical help, you have to quit.
You have to be airlifted to a Big Mac.
And they'll turn the camera on you and say, if you're that bad, they will not
beg.
How bad are you?
Beg for food. Beg for food.
Yeah.
Foam at the mouth.
Yeah.
So,
like I say, that one of the things that surprised me was literally how much you're stripped of anything and everything. You're literally left with shoes, socks, underwear, shorts, and a t-shirt, and say, we'll talk to you in 39 days.
Well, we certainly know you're left with underwear.
Yeah, that's true. Some more colorful than
this season. Yeah, and the men are more colorful than the women usually.
That's right.
The more colorful ones. So one of the things that we're seeing on social media, we've got our survivors, our second chance folks. A lot of them in their interviews on CBS, their pre-show interviews, were saying, the things I'm going to do different. I'm not going to do this different. We're seeing a lot of them do the same thing. Like Wu, his social game isn't very strong. Is this something that kind of shocks you a little bit? We see Abby, of course, acting the same way she is.
Well, that's one thing. It's very tough to act different. Your personality, you are who you are. And after 24 hours, 36 hours with no food, you forget about the cameras being there. You forget about that. And your personality comes through. And that's one thing I'll give props to the producers or the people who cast you that way. They don't want somebody fake coming onto the show, because after a while it'll show through. That's the purpose of the challenges and all that sort of stuff, is to wear you down, because sooner or later you're going to slip into your regular personality. I mean, mine came out. I mean,
yeah.
That's why when Jeff told me once, he goes, if you think you got a bad edit, go ask everybody else on the show what you really were. And he goes, if they all agree with the edit, it wasn't us. He goes, you really were an obnoxious idiot.
Which is why I'm scared to do reality TV. So, I mean, it's hard to be fake when you're starving, dirty, in your underwear, right? There's not a whole lot of walls you can put up.
Because you have nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. I mean, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 39 days. You got a camera a foot from your head. And nobody's that good of an actor for that amount of time. No director walks in, says, cut, let's do a retake. They film it as you say it, when you say it, and you are who you really are.
And it's true even in relationships, even romantic ones off Survivor. I mean, I lasted, I think, 2 weeks, and then my whole facade was down. So.
Yeah. And I mean, a perfect example is Dan last season.
Yeah.
Said he got a bad edit, and Jeff goes, no, let's cue the tape. And they went out and rolled the full clip that they edited out and said it wasn't an edit. And Dan just, oh.
So is there anything you would do different if you were on Second Chance Cambodia? What would you do different, Dan?
Oh, if I was
game. Yeah, what would your game be? What would you do different?
You know, that's one of the questions everybody asks. Who do you pattern your game after?
Oh.
And that's partly why it's so tough to pattern the game, because your game depends on the personalities you go into the game with. You know, if I was to go into the game with the Savage and the Deets and all that sort of stuff, it would be a completely different game than what I would be playing against Wes, Alec, and those guys. You have to tailor your game to the people you're playing with. You don't want to come out and go head to head with the Terry Deets and an Andrew Savage and a Joe, because that's going to be a bloody battle. I mean, nobody's going to survive. So you're going to have to curb it in. So it's tough to really pick what kind of game you'll play until you actually know how your tribe mates. I think if you watch Kelly, her gameplay in the first 2 or 3 episodes were different from her last couple episodes. Mm-hmm. Because she's got Cass, Deets, Joe. I mean, she's got some big personalities, and all of a sudden Kelly's brought her game back a little bit. So on her previous strike, she was stepping a little bit more out in front because she didn't have those strong bodies. So that's where the personalities dictate where your game goes, and that's the beauty of Survivor. It keeps you on your toes.
Well, I think too with Kelly, you know, she's blonde, she's attractive, she's got the sweetness kind of energy about her, but she will get in your face.
Oh yeah, she will, as Drew found out last.
Oh, exactly. Shocking, actually.
Yeah, it was.
But you know, we're seeing differences with Kelly, which is great. We're also seeing differences with Cass. I mean, we had
Cass not there this year.
We had Chaos Cass is not here, which she absolutely just drove me nuts for a season, but I loved her at the same time. But, you know, we've got Savage telling his story about how he met his wife, and Jeremy's getting all emotional, and Cass was too. I couldn't believe. I thought it was raining. I couldn't believe she had tears.
And they what made him such a popular player, they aren't playing that type of game. You know, Chaos Cass got voted back because she's Chaos Cass.
Yeah. The
way she played the game. She would sit there, Tony would come and tell her a story, and she would turn around and repeat it to somebody, and when Tony accused her of it, she'd go, I didn't say that. And you would believe her. Because she's that good about there's no secrets with her. And now she's not playing that game. And maybe she hasn't had to because of the tribe she's with and all that sort of stuff. But Savage with his... And I used to like Savage, but he came back. He goes, I got a perfect kids. I got a perfect wife. Everything's perfect in his life except for getting voted off as Survivor. Right. Well, okay, now you need to get voted off again because you need another black mark on your record. So, you know, he's just rubbing me the wrong way of what he did in his first season. Because they are playing a different season. And granted, some of them are 10 years older, or it depends on and we all change as we age. So you mellow out or get more stubborn in your ways, depending. So that could be enough as anything. But Woo's only 2 years out. Cass is only 2 years out. Spencer. And they've changed their game. Spencer's playing a different game this year, too.
That's funny that you say that, because we've got, again, Bruce in our chat room is asking thoughts on Spencer. What are your thoughts on him? It's kind of a fan favorite.
Yeah, last time he was just such a dominant player. He was on an underdog tribe. He almost single-handedly won a couple challenges by himself. he doesn't seem to be the bold, I'm not going to take any prisoners type. And like I say, it's early in the game, so we'll just see how well it plays him out. You learn from your past mistakes. Does it get you farther? Does it? So the best way to know if he's playing a good game is see how far he goes in December.
Well, I think just a couple episodes back, too, we saw Spencer really talking game and alliances and who's going to do this. And then when he was almost voted out, he was like, oh, my gosh, I need to change my gameplay. I can't play like I did before. I have to do a more social game or he's going to be gone. So at least I think he has the maturity enough to know where he can tweak his gameplay a little bit, hopefully.
And that might be like, say, those votes were the warning sign. Say you're playing dominant, this and this, and there is a huge type of A personalities on this game with the Savages, the Varners, or Varners not there, but the Dietz, the Jeremys. There's a lot of extremely strong personalities. Well, when Spencer was on there is not that many to fight with. He was on a tribe with mostly girls with the Brain tribe, I thought.
Yeah.
So he could, so like say, that's tailoring your game to some of the tribe you're put with.
Oh, absolutely. We've got guest 122 in the chat room says, Cash should open her own little island gift shop.
He's making friendship bracelets.
Friendship bracelets. Good one, Dale. That's a good one. I love it. Another question we've got is, when they show the wild animals, do you see the rats and the snakes by your bed?
Yeah, we had, and just for my season, we had a poisonous snake that crawled up in top of our shelter one night. And it crawled in amongst the palm fronds, and we let the producers know because they like to get shots of that. And we asked them, well, what kind of snake was it? And I described it, and they go, no, you don't want to touch that because if it bites you, it'll kill you. Oh, and we go, it's in our shelter. And they basically go, I wouldn't sleep there tonight if I was you. So we all moved out till we were sure the snake was gone. They won't separate you because you're on the beach.
Oh, I wouldn't even want to know what kind of snake it was. I would just...
Yeah. So most of the night, there's only when we had bad weather, most of the night, I spent most of the night sleeping around the fire because it was warmer and it was more comfortable than the wood we had for a shelter. Letting the hermit crabs and the snails and spiders crawl on you was more comfortable than sleeping under the shelter.
Oh my God. No wonder the prize money is $1 million.
Yeah.
CBS
at some point you're going, you just give me 250, I'd quit now.
Oh my gosh. So some of the photos that we see from like tonight's episode, Kelly's really involved in this immunity challenge. I believe she's even in the barrel as they're rolling it. It seems like you could get a lot of bruises, stuff happening. What was
see. Go ahead.
What was what happened with you? Did you get any kind of bruises? What kind of injuries did you have coming off the show?
I didn't have too many injuries because the one really bad challenge that we went through was the obstacle challenge where we were shooting through the basket and that sort of stuff. And they were and it was teams. Jeremy and Kelly were paired up, and Alec and Wes were paired up, and that sort of stuff. And I got voted to sit out that one. The worst I got was when we did the sumo challenge out in the water. I got sunburned like a son of a gun. I mean, I shed my skin like 30 times in the next 2 days just because the sunburn was so bad. I did see the scars from this barrel challenge. After Kelly got home, I still saw the scars on her from this barrel challenge.
Really? Oh, there's some insider stuff.
So, and I was after she came home, so it wasn't on the show, but she still had scars from the barrel challenge. The challenges on this one are wicked.
So now is Wednesday night Wentworth Survivor Party airing show night. So like in a few hours, you guys are all going to get together and watch the episode.
Well, Kelly's in Seattle, and we're over here on this side. So we're gonna we have a pizza parlor in Ephrata. We go, guy hosts it, and we have some friends coming down. We watch Survivor Party. My parents will come in. Depends on how long Kelly stays around. She might come over to Ephrata for one. My wife and I are going to try and make it over to Seattle to do a viewing party with Kelly. So with her work,
if you need me to live stream it, I'm right here.
So like I say, we just float as it goes.
No, that's so awesome. Okay, we've got a few people in the chat room wanting to know, how long ago was the season taped? Isn't it about 4 months? Maybe
she was there from. This was a long one. She was gone from May 20th through July 11th.
Oh,
so
wow.
she was gone almost 50 days from the time they got voted at the finale show, May 20th. They put them on a plane within 3 days. They were in LA, I think, for 3 more days, and then they were on a plane to Cambodia the next Saturday. So they were gone. Well, Kelly got fired for it, for trying to get a 50-day. She tried to get a 60-day leave of absence, and they canned her for a job for it.
Really? I was just going to say.
So if she hadn't got picked, she was going to be searching for a job Thursday morning when she got back to Seattle. But she got picked, so she had to wait till July to look for a job.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because it's kind of tough. I've heard different kind of horror stories, just kind of getting that time up, and players are just not reality TV stars like that, or reality TV fans like that.
They squabble over 2 weeks, and you go, okay, I'm going to take my next 4 years vacations right now.
Right.
So I know how I think Jeremy and Wes and Keith, they were all fire department employees. And for San Juan del Sur, they traded in their time off, all their paid vacation, all that sort of stuff. They traded them in for like 2 years in advance to get on the show. So basically, they were on paid vacation while they were on the show.
But now can't take a vacation for 2 years.
Now they can't take a vacation. Jeremy's wiggled it out because he's done it twice in 2 years. So apparently it works.
He's good. There's some strategy just right there. That's a strategy on its own, I think.
Those firemen's got some good bennies, I'll tell you that.
They do. Okay, we've got and this is something that I really like. I like Redemption Island. I wish they would have brought back Redemption Island. What do you think of the whole Redemption Island thing on Survivor?
You know, I like to watch it as a fan, but to actually sit there and trying to figure out votes that far in advance, because you have to start making game plays 2 or 3 weeks in advance, because if like Laura on the Last Blood versus Water, when they voted her off and she went back and she was on Redemption Island and she started killing the challenges, and all of a sudden she's a dominant player who's won before, and now you vote her off once and she wins so many challenges, and 2 weeks later she gets back into your game. Then you have to start, I mean, it's a double and triple layered strategy, like a 3D chess game. You know, your move here affects a move here that affects a move here that's going to affect you 2 weeks down the road. And to be playing that on the island that time would be absolutely nightmare.
Oh, God.
Try and do that strategy that far in advance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but it is good. It makes good TV. I like watching it as a fan.
Good TV, yes.
Absolutely. So we're taking Kelly out of the equation. Besides your daughter, of course, who's your pick as far as who's going to win Survivor? It's that we know so far as their strategy. Of course, you have a little inside information you can share if you want. We're fans. We love it. Who you think has a really strong chance of winning?
I've got a fantasy league. So, and the guy who ran the league picked Kelly first, so I didn't get to pick Kelly. But I got Jeremy, and I got Savage, I got Fishback, and I have Tasha. But you can't discount Joe.
No.
Joe's a phenomenal player. I'm questioning Sierra, Monica, Kimmy. They aren't getting a lot of airtime, so either they're playing a very soft game and they're going to come in later. It's old school versus new school. There's a couple old school guys I like. Terry Dietz is, I don't know. Jeremy, because he's got an idol, but that can disappear in one night. Yes. I like how Joe can play in a challenge. If they get to the individual immunity and Jeremy hasn't had good luck in individual immunities. In San Juan del Sur, he never won one, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Spencer did. Joe does. So you got to give the in-track to those two just because of how they've performed in the past in the individual immunities. But the challenges change so much because if it's a balance or a strategy or a puzzle or strength, then it can favor a different person on each night. So I guess I'm leaning towards some of the new school guys. One of those three, Joe or Spencer. But Terry, I don't know. It's tough.
It is tough. And I mean, you know, I really like Savage. I think he's kind of playing it cool. Tasha, when she called out Jeff, you rat. What are you doing, you rat? I thought was a great move.
And Tasha in her season, she was strong in challenges too. So once you get to that individual, it's a whole. And Keith was good in the individual challenges. Whether he's learned from strategy or not is a completely different thing. But he was in San Juan del Sur. He won a lot of individual immunities, or he was at least in the running for every single one. So you got to give the old guy some credit too.
He did, because in Tasha in her season, she didn't have a whole lot. I think that was her season where, what's her name, burned the rice and threw it in the fire and didn't have any food in the shelter. So when she got on this new Angkor tribe, she was like, I'm used to having nothing. So on Survivor, which was hilarious. I love that she called him out with rat. I think, because I don't think we're getting a whole lot of time with the women, like Sierra, we're not seeing too much. Kelly, we're seeing a little bit. Of course, we can always see more because we love our Kelly. We love our Seattle Kelly. But I think, and like even Kimmy, I mean, we forget Kimmy is the one that verbally accosted Rance in her season, who will get in your face, just like Kelly has no problem getting in people's faces. And I think some of the women are kind of being underestimated at this point in this season. What do you think?
You know, and it might be just be the fact that there is so many type A men in the show, because you've got the Savage, he's a attorney, you got the Joes, the Terry Deets, the Jeremys. There's so many strong men in there that they can kind of take control, and the women are just kind of, okay, let's let them sit back and take control and get out front before we stab them in the back. Now, will that happen or not? Or, you know, because some of the women, are they just waiting back to play for the merge? You just don't know. You know, let somebody else, the guy in the front usually gets the arrows.
Absolutely. And I think that's why they're keeping Abby around. Gonna shield him from the arrows, right?
The Brazilian pincushion.
Oh my gosh. So we in our chat room, guest 122 wants to know, what are your thoughts about Kelly Wigglesworth coming back after, is it, I think 15 years, right?
Years. She was on season 1.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that much of her.
No.
So it's really tough. And before the season even started, I discounted some of the old school players, the Wigglesworth and Kappenberg, because the game has changed so much since then. Tina, when she won Australian Outback and she came on the Blood versus Water, one of her first comments after the show said, in the Blood versus Water show, they did more strategizing in the first day than they did in 30 days in the Australian Outback, because they might talk strategy for an hour or two a day out in the Outback, and in Blood versus Water with Redemption Island, they were talking strategy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She goes, it just flat out wore you out doing that much strategy. So can the new school or the old school guys catch up to the speed of the game, because it moves so quick now?
Wow.
Like Varner found out when he tried to give the message to Kimmy, he just turned around and said, or not Kimmy, Kelly's Wigglesworth, tried to give her a message, and that's when the new school Tasha turned around and says, you're a rat. You're out. And he only lasted 2 nights. Then he was gone. So that's how fast the game moves.
And just amazing how Savage and Tasha just, you know, they were the underdogs and they just turned it around and they were making the decision, which just shows you how quickly the game changes.
Yeah, it can change. Well, another good is Keith's comment in the tribal immunity or tribal council in San Juan del Sur was stick to the plan. That got Reed voted out that night. because Keith just made an ill-timed comment, and everybody's antenna went up and says, okay, our plan has changed, the vote changed, and Reed went home. If Keith hadn't said that, Reed would have been in the game in the controlling aspect of the tribe, and it would have been a completely different outcome. But one comment by Keith changed that game.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, Keith is a pretty tough competitor. So is Terry. It's good to see that guys that age can still compete with the younger ones. It gives me hope as I age myself.
Now, just so you know, I'm a year older than Keith. So.
Well, Dale, we are at the top of the hour. It has been so wonderful chatting with you. Tell everyone where we can find you.
Find me at FarmGuy69 on Twitter. It's usually around. Or Team Wentworth. I'm hashtag Team Wentworth. That's all Kelly now. So I'm usually around supporting Kelly and the Seattle Seahawks, of course. But that's usually most of what I tweet about. Yep. I still support them because I watched them in the Kingdom days, so I know when they really suck. It'll get better than.
We are hoping, right? I mean,
yeah, we got
last game, the game before that, and that 17-point lead. Oh, it was just I can't even talk about it.
And the game tomorrow night.
Right.
Yeah, short time. So.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining our Survivor Episode 5 pre-party. Don't forget to watch tonight. I'll be watching. I'll be live tweeting the West Coast feed. I'm sure Dale and Kelly will be doing it too. Hashtag Team Wentworth. We are wanting our Wentworths, our Seattle Wentworths, to go far in this season of Survivor. Don't forget to bring
the West Coast winner.
Absolutely. Go to our website at yourrealityrecaps.com/survivor for all our shows. Melissa's blog, The Dolphin Poet, has some really funny things she says and little pictures that she does on the episodes of Survivor. And of course, hashtag YRR Live for any questions. And don't forget to become patrons on our site too. And then check out our younow.com/realityrecaps, where we are live streaming shows all the time. We appreciate you joining with us, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.